Hello and welcome back. December the 25th today. So many years, at least all of them within my lifetime, humans have celebrated Christmas on this day. Tradition bound. A tradition stole from another time, changed, and over time it has become something completely different. And it brings to question how many things, traditions, habits, whatever, we perform yearly, monthly, daily, that were once something else, that are now what we know as our tradition, as the things that we do in our culture. Nearly everything has been borrowed from a time before us, and the clever trick was to change things in a manner that eventually we would completely forget its original roots, so that those who decided to make those changes in the world would have some kind of gain by us forgetting. There's this part of being a human that wants to control the things around us, the people in our lives. We want to control the world so that our world is better, is in a way that we prefer. So on the 25th of December, we have what we today call Christmas, which was once a celebration of the sun, and probably something else before. Somebody else watching this video might know. Feel free to leave a comment below on where else we've got these traditions from. So, in an attempt to make the world go the way certain people wanted it to, they've changed a lot of the traditions that we practice today. And here we are. The whole 41 years I've been alive, I've always felt uncomfortable with Christmas. I've felt very uncomfortable with all the holidays, as a matter of fact. I was always very rebellious. I've always felt as though there's some wrong in the approach that we have today. It's very superficial. It's very marketed. It's very much, look at this, buy this, buy that, do this, do that, under the, how do I say this, under the, we're told that Christmas is a time for family and for getting together and for sharing time with loved ones. But if you look all around you, the culture wants you to buy things for the people you like, you love, and so on. And although we claim to be a mature species, a mature in the most mature time in human history, I beg to differ. Because although we all know that a hug, a smile, and all these things, being there for people, is much more close to a heartfelt expression of your love, we still buy into the marketing and the promotion. We basically still give our money away in this attempt to make other people happy. And it's very superficial. That's the whole point I'm making. There's missing depth. We'll give a gift to someone, and that person may be happy, but what we're doing is we're feeding their greed. That's the point I'm making. The way that we have our traditions set up today, it's no longer for the greater good of the whole. It no longer has that deeper meaning anymore. Not for many people anyways. For most of us, it's just to get that next toy or to give someone that toy. And we believe that this is happiness. I can't wait to see how happy such and such is going to be when they open their present, we'll say. But when it comes time for us to doing something for that person, it's a whole different story. On Christmas, it's an opportunity for us to do the least amount possible. So there is some good, of course, because a lot of times people may drift apart if it wasn't for these types of traditions. And oftentimes you'll notice that when you do spend time with a person that you haven't spent time with in a long time, you feel good. Sometimes you feel as though, wow, I should have spent much more time with this person throughout the year. So it's not to say that Christmas and these modern ways that we celebrate our traditions like Christmas, it's not to say that they're useless and there's nothing good or of value. The reason we still have it today, that we still follow it, is that because a lot of it still has certain aspects that were there from before. And that's how, and those things, they appease to that deeper part of us. So we're doing things for certain reasons. We're doing things to make people happy, but the way we're going about it is on a very superficial level. We want people to be happy, but the way we go about it is nurturing their greed as opposed to helping them become more courageous and all of those other aspects that I could add here that I'm sure you're familiar with. Courage and patience. So we value giving a gift. We've lost many of the aspects of the original traditions that we follow today. And here we are, December the 25th, many of us blindly following these traditions. So what it comes down to is, are you afraid to be judged? Are you afraid to have your life change around you? Are you afraid that the people around you will see you differently? Are you afraid that you may cause conflict? Are you afraid of the conflict itself? Because the minute you start looking deeper into the things that you do in your life, for example, the traditions you follow each year, the deeper you look into them, the more you'll be able to see whether or not they're going to be helpful for humanity, for all of life, or detrimental. Are you solidifying the structure from which humans are destroying the world? Are you feeding the greed? Or are you doing something different? Are you working to change yourself on that level so that what you do isn't so superficial anymore? And this can be a very painful process because you may enjoy the way the world is today. But everywhere as you look around you, pollution, hunger, they say that in about 46 years, the soil, largely the soil that we use today to feed the majority of the world, will be unusable, unfarmable. And again, all for greed. We meet with families and we buy we'll buy a cake, a pie, and all these gifts, and we'll spend all of our time and money into giving this money into a system that is not designed to heal the world, to heal itself, to heal, period. Most of the places we give our money to get the gift to give to our friends and so on, are organizations that are greedy in essence. So we're feeding into their greed. They're dumping pollution into the oceans, plastic, they're wasting, they're making working conditions for people around the world, some companies, almost like hell. Very low pay, compensation, very low, poor working conditions. Many people are getting sick from the working conditions. And we're giving these companies all of our time, you might as well say, because we work for the money. So this is our time, really. When you look at your money, that's your time. It's a symbol of your time that you spent. So you're giving your time away to these companies who are destroying the world, who are continuing the greed and the way of life that here on earth today is so superficial that we go about destroying the world indirectly without realizing it, without questioning it. And I'm speaking about traditions like Christmas, for example. So let's stay on this topic in this specific part of the conversation here. We are going about the world trying to make our family and friends happy by continuing the cycle of destruction of the world and increasing our greed and the greed of the companies. We're basically saying, yes, you keep destroying the world, you keep doing all the things like monopolizing in the industry you're in, making sure people aren't paid what they're deserved, what they need to survive. You give permission for the world to stay shitty by giving your time in the form of money to these companies. So what we need to do is change the whole foundation of which we live our lives upon. Today is a time now. If you're not aware, Jupiter and Saturn just passed through this alignment that only happens once every 200 years. So from now till the next 200 years, we're into this new energetic section, if you will, of our of life, of our experience. We're here for the beginning of it. So it's time to look really at what it is that we're doing and make realistic steps towards becoming more real, not so foolish. We're making real steps into looking at what it is that I'm doing and what type of impact does it have. And do the traditions that I follow continue this repetitive cycle of destruction, or am I looking deeper and either dropping these traditions or modifying how I interact or express myself in these traditions so that I am helping to raise the vibration, the love, the forgiveness, the opposite of greed, basically. Okay? Are you teaching your kids that they need gifts? Or are you helping your children to realize that the hug they just got is more valuable than the gift they opened before they reached for that hug to say thank you? Do you understand? So these are the types of things that we today need to focus on so that the world in 46 years is not filled with people who don't care about tomorrow and are just busy filling their desires for greed. But instead, people who are making real conscious decisions to help create a more sustainable way of life. And that's the point. We need to look at the way we're living and the traditions that we follow fit directly within this scope of, am I living my best life, or am I just living with my head in the sand without any kind of, with complete disregard for the world I'm leaving? Have you ever heard of your carbon footprint? The amount of damage and pollution that you yourself, from driving your car, leaving your car run, all these little things that you're doing, somewhere out there, an animal died because of the extra pollution or whatever it is. And if not died, some type of illness, mental or physical, was perpetuated. It was, maybe you could say guaranteed or set into motion by your actions of not caring, not thinking about your actions. So I challenge you to think more, to think deeper about everything you do, especially in these traditions. For Christmas, who are you buying the gifts from? Are you making something yourself? The tree that you cut down, are you going to plant another? Maybe plant two. Maybe that'll be part of the new tradition you make. You cut your own tree every year, but you plant two. So these types of, you see where I'm going with this? There's a way to live and to move forward in our lives so that we can change for the better, so that we're not leaving a dead planet for our children and our children's children to inherit. So I'll leave you with that. And wherever you are around the world, whatever time it is that you're watching this video, thank you, thank you, thank you. Peace.